Someone go get my phone just in case.
There we are. We're live. I want to welcome everybody to Pima GOP headquarters and our second brown bag lunch with our candidates here in Pima County. And here with us today is our county treasurer for some 20 years, Beth Ford, who is seeking another term, another 4-year term, I believe it is, Beth.
Yes.
And we are so happy that she's here, and we're so happy that you're here with us live and on YouTube. So without any further ado, let me turn it over to Beth Ford, our sitting, and she is indeed sitting, county treasurer. Take it away, Beth.
Yes. Hi, I'm Beth Ford. I'm your Pima County treasurer. I'm also a certified public accountant. And I bring with me 20 years of experience. I've also been the past president of the Arizona Association of County Treasurers. I've served on the board for the Arizona Association of Counties, which serves all the row officers in the state. And I also serve on the State Treasurer's Investment Advisory Board in that capacity. I am a professional. I bring my experience as a certified public accountant, including my 20 years running the treasurer's office. And I've been very efficient in running that office. When I took office 20 years ago, we had 46 staff members. We usually run the office with 27 or less at this point. Over that same time period, I've given back over $5 million in excess budget capacity. So even though there have been some hard times over the last 20 years and I've had to make budget cuts, we've been able to increase our efficiencies to be able to absorb those cuts. We've automated about 90% of the tax payments, and we've consistently beaten our benchmarks on our investments. As the county treasurer, I serve the 96 different political subdivisions in Pima County. You're wondering why your taxes are high? There's a lot of people taxing you. And so I end up acting as the bank for that. We usually collect about $1.4 billion in tax levy, but there's other revenues that we get in as well. So I usually have about $3.5 billion that flows through the office every year. So it's not a small job, but it's an awful lot of fun. Anybody have any questions?
I got a couple, but I have to.
Enjoy your lunch. Yes. Yes.
Tell us about the investments and how you wind up with funds to invest and how that works.
Well, as I said, we get about $3.5 billion that flows through the office, and all that money doesn't have to go out at the same time. So we don't want to keep it in a checking account. We want it working. And we are regulated by statute. We can invest in what's known as the fixed income market, which consists of treasuries, corporate bonds, commercial paper, and whatnot. It's interesting because right now that has been my biggest challenge with COVID, because interest rates actually went negative. I'm having a heck of a time trying to find places to park the money where I know I'm going to be able to get it back and be able to have reasonable yields on it, which reasonable yields right now are 15 basis points. We bought some farm credits 2 weeks ago. Matures in 3 years, not much money. And we had a nice portfolio built up, but all those bonds are getting called now. So yeah, it's going to continue to be a challenge, but we want to make sure those funds are secure and available when we need them.
So do you have someone that does that for you, or are you?
I do.
Okay.
Now I have another CPA, and she was an investment banker, and actually she's my mentor's daughter, and has done very well for her. She actually worked for a president for a short period of time. So we were very lucky to have her. She's graduated from Stanford magna cum laude with a math major. So yeah, very high powered. But yeah, she does our investing for us. Her name's Laura Banker.
How much interaction do you have with the state treasurer?
As I said, I serve on the investment advisory board. A lot of the funds that we get comes through the state treasurer's office. We receive all the money for school districts, and they get what's called the equalization payment. If you look on your property taxes, if you're a homeowner, you'll see a deduction for state aid. That's where that money comes in. So we're getting in millions from them. We also collect all the money for the courts for fees and fines that are involved there, and that money goes to the state. So we're constantly sending money back and forth. The state treasurer has a local government investment pool, and that's where I keep a lot of our liquid money that we need. It's been a very positive relationship. I can end up getting more than overnight rates on basically overnight money. So it's been a very good working relationship we've had with the state treasurer.
Do you think COVID's gonna have some long-term negative financial effects on us, or do you think we're gonna?
It all depends on how quickly the economy comes back, which I don't think is going to happen as fast as we would all like. I think it's going to be sluggish, probably at least towards the end of the year after the election. It's just really difficult to try and recover from, record unemployment rates, and how many businesses have shut their doors permanently.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know.
And when is the mayor figuring out opening up the city, like the community centers? And then,
I'm not sure when the city's opening. The county's starting to open up a lot of its activities, but with restrictions. For instance, we're in the public services building, which is where the courts are held, and you can't come into the building without having your temperature taken and a mask. Now, in my office, I don't require you to continue to wear your mask. We've got plexiglass up now for the cashiers, so nobody can be sneezed on in things. And I think we're in a fairly secure environment as long as the COVID doesn't re-erupt. I think we'll be all right.
You may have said this in your opening remarks. If you did, I apologize for asking.
No
What
problem.
is your annual total money flow through the office?
About $3.5 billion.
$3.5 billion.
Billion.
Every year.
Every year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. And the other thing that's interesting with this position is I have to run my office according to Arizona revised statutes. There's 48 different titles. The treasurer is mentioned in all but 2. So you need to know a lot about the laws. And a lot of it's just because I get the money. Or sometimes it's because the legislature decided that that was a good place for the treasurer to take this on. So you have to be aware of lots of different things and what the legislature is doing every year, because sometimes they can pop something new in that we didn't know about.
Do you have anybody on staff that's like I don't want to say lobbyist, but that is a liaison with the legislature?
That's basically what the function of the Arizona Association of Counties is. They are the lobbyist for the constitutional row officer. So it's the sheriff, the assessor, the recorder,
Okay.
and they do our lobbying for us.
Okay.
And there's another association, the Arizona County Supervisors Association, that represents the supervisors for all the counties. Sometimes we see eye to eye, sometimes we don't. And that's one of the reasons why this position is an elected position and not appointed, because I serve not only Pima County government, and Pima County is the one that actually cuts my paycheck, but I also serve the school districts, the fire districts, and sometimes their interests don't coincide with the county. So it's important to be objective, and that's why this position is an elected office.
Okay.
Has your opponent run for this office before?
No. My opponent ran for the Supervisor's District 1 position. From what I found out about him, is a retired hospital administrator and has been very involved with the Democratic Party, but other than that, doesn't have any real qualifications to be running the finances for Pima County.
And he's not a CPA.
No, I don't think he's got any financial qualifications. So,
We need to get that out there.
yes. And I understand that he was the hospital administrator for the hospital in Douglas when it was bankrupt. So
He ran for the Supervisor District 1 this last time around, or in 2012 when Allen Miller won?
when Allie Miller won, yeah,
That's right.
maybe it was 2016. I think it was 2016. Yeah. Time flies when we're having fun. Yeah. Yeah. One of the other reasons why I'm running this particular term, because I put in my 20 years, so that caps my retirement benefit. But we're going to have a whole lot of new row officers, new recorder, new assessor, new county attorney. Hopefully we'll keep our sheriff, who I think has done a marvelous job. And the county school superintendent, they're both serving their first term. So I will be the only one that's got any historical knowledge there. And the row officers' positions are a little different because we're outside of county government. Don't report to the board of supervisors. Report to the citizens. And that's a little different concept to adjust to. I jokingly say Chuck Huckleberry's not my friend. And in a lot of ways, he's not. He's been very supportive in running my office most of the time. But as I said, I'm in an elected position for a reason. And sometimes his desires and mine are in conflict. And that's okay. It's supposed to be that way.
Are you at all involved with these discussions to defund the police department? Or you have nothing to do with that?
No.
Wouldn't impact you at all?
No.
So who funds them?
The police department?
Yeah.
It's the taxpayers, basically.
Yeah, so much, right?
Yeah, but that money does flow.
It flows into the
directly
office.
From the city, not the county.
Correct.
Right.
But I'm collecting the property taxes for the city, which we then distribute to the city every month.
So they get it through your office? They get the funds?
They get the property taxes.
Yeah.
The rest of their revenues, for instance, the city charges a sales tax. They're responsible for collecting that.
They collect it, and so their decision to move the funds, they would just decide, and you would just comply.
I'm not responsible for the city's funds. I collect their taxes and distribute them to them. They have their own checking account, basically.
Oh,
They're responsible for their own
And who would
funds.
be they?
The city of Tucson.
Councilman?
Uh-huh.
I live in an apartment, so I don't even know. The city of Tucson has their own sales tax, and the state of Arizona has its own.
Sales tax, correct.
So if I go buy a shirt at Kohl's, I pay the city of Tucson the sales tax,
Uh-huh.
and the state of Arizona the sales tax.
Uh-huh. And Pima County for the Regional Transportation Authority.
So I pay 3 sales taxes.
And I think there's a fourth one for education for teachers, but that kind of goes through the state.
Yeah,
There's
that's right.
several
So,
American sales
And
taxes.
it all totals around 7.5 or 8%.
I think it's 8.2 at this point.
Okay.
So there'd be an entry for 4 sales taxes on that, one receipt for that one purchase.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. If they find a way to consolidate that?
Well, I think they're like a sales receipt at the store only has the total of
The
8.2%
grand
of
total.
the grand total.
Yes. And then the store ends up submitting what they collected to the different agencies. And that has been consolidated. It was consolidated
Yeah,
a couple of years
so-
ago as far as the process goes. So a lot of that's done through the state.
The store don't keep that money. No, I say the store does not keep that money.
No, the store does not keep that money. They turn it over to the state, and then the state gives me a piece of it for Pima County. And that's called state shared revenues.
What are some things that we can do to help your campaign?
Right now, money's always important. Got to pay for those signs. And I'll need help getting signs up. I'm going to wait until after the primary election to start really putting up signs. I don't have a primary contest. Then some of those signs will be coming down. And I would like to make sure that mine are up when the early ballots go out in September.
It's after monsoon season.
Mhm. It's about 4 months right now until the election, a little less than.
One thing.
That's a long time to keep signs up.
One thing to consider though, Beth, is that your competitor
Uh-huh.
already has his signs
Oh.
up and he's building name recognition, which is going to help him. Because I don't think he has a primary opponent either.
No.
does he? No, so he's building name recognition in the community for Bickle,
Mm-hmm.
his name.
Mhm.
And so you might want to consider that as well.
I have.
Yeah, okay.
I think everyone knows Beth.
I
Ford.
think so. Yeah. I have very good
Yeah.
positive name ID
Yeah,
right now.
So long.
We can't take anything for
Yeah.
Granted,
We did
nope.
that last
Well, that's
time
true.
I-
No,
I'm gonna
my-
guess
My signs are ordered. They'll be here in about 2 weeks. We'll start putting a few up, but I'll put the majority of them up after the primary.
So if you live in unincorporated Tucson, the address is still Tucson, but it's unincorporated, you pay property taxes to the county, right?
Correct. The county itself does not have a sales tax to support its operations. It's supported primarily by property tax. Mhm.
If you live in incorporated Tucson,
Mhm.
then you pay property taxes to the city of Tucson,
Mhm.
but not the county?
Oh, sure.
You pay to the county
They pay
too.
both?
Every property in Pima County is assessed a Pima County property tax.
So if you live in unincorporated Tucson, you only pay property taxes to Pima County?
And whatever other jurisdictions that you live in. So if you live in an area that's unincorporated that has a fire district, you'll pay that tax, property tax. You'll pay school district property taxes. Everybody pays, excuse me, the state of Arizona for water.
What the hell's the name of that, Northwest?
Our district?
No, what's the name of that? Can't think of it.
Marana, Oro Valley.
No, it's Tucson, but it's,
Classes and others,
that's why I go for Northwest.
totally either.
No, I can't think of it. That's why unincorporated Tucson, because it's in a way out. All the way to Northwest.
Double Mountain?
No, a little bit west of that.
Saddleburg?
No, a little bit west of that. The only thing will come to me.
I don't know, East Side.
Picture
I don't
Rocks?
know.
Picture Rock, yeah, Picture Rocks. That's, if you live there, your address is Tucson, but it's unincorporated Tucson, right?
That's correct.
So if you want to live there, for example, you pay property taxes to the county,
Correct.
but not the city of Tucson?
Correct.
Any other questions? Well, Beth, let me get back in the front.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you very
Yeah,
much for having me.
Thank you for coming, and whoever's out there on YouTube, thank you for being here with us. And look forward to next week where we'll have another brown bag lunch here at headquarters. And we'll have, who's coming? Fernando Gonzalez, who is running for supervisor. And I believe that's District 5, if I have my number straight. Terrific. We'll see you there. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I'd like to buy a house, that's what I was asking those questions.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.